So what's going to happen for the market? It's going to get slower because that always happens this time of year. So what I've got pulled up, as I always say, is my 7-county Denver Metro housing statistics. I like the 7-county Metro, which is the South Metro Denver Realtor Association. The Denver Metro pulls in some other stuff, 11-county Metro, Boulder, Weld, other things that are not really reflective of most people in the Denver Metro area. So it also pushes the prices up artificially and makes them look higher than they are. So this is what I like to use. Your average price for, and this is September because I'm talking mid-October. I kind of wanted to see how things were going to play out, so I'm a little later on this than I normally would be, but I kind of wanted to get a feel for what the market activity was on my listings so I can give y'all some context there, because those numbers that are happening right now, the activity right now is not going to show until November. Closings in November, so we're going to be looking at them first week of December. That's 6 weeks away. So I wanted to get a feel for what's come down the pike in 4 to 6 weeks. But your average price for the 7-county Metro is up to $681. That includes condos, townhouses, and duplexes, as well as single-family homes. Median, I like that a little bit better. It's going to be about $580. So you can see that's flat to August. That's pretty typical this time of year, and I'm always going to have to back up because, 2020 through 2022 is not reflective of a typical market cycle, as you can see. I think 2018, 2019 is a pretty good seasonality reflection of the current buyer and seller demand balance and everything else. Different situations, but similar ratio and similar balance. And I'll kind of go through that here in a bit. So you can see in the second half of the year, August, September, October, we usually get kind of flat, maybe a little bit of a bump. A lot of people like end of September, early October, kind of get out there after school is back, family, vacations, traveling, all that kind of stuff settles down. There's a handful of people that are like, yeah, I think I want to buy a house now versus waiting till the spring. Smart people. When I'm buying my own property, I'm buying in Q3 and Q4, okay? Unless I need something like really specific, but I like a deal. Everybody likes a deal. So deal opportunities happen in Q3 and Q4 for the most part. And that's when flippers shop, because then they can go buy it, do some work on it for a couple of months, list it in the spring market. They look at this stuff. People in the industry look at this stuff. However, most people make their buying decision based on life, not based on real estate cycles and real estate seasonality, and that's fine too. But for the buyers that want to listen to me, now's your opportunity. As I always say, Q3 and Q4, now is your opportunity. So you can see, I think with the market activity I see out there, September was really slow. So I don't think we'll have the uptick in the October numbers. I think we might get like a flat wash between October and November, because I'm seeing a little bit more market activity in the last 7 to 10 days than I saw about 14 to 21 days ago. But that's where we're at. We're at 580. So let's go to months of supply, because I want to show you, and I'm going to rein this in a little bit. But we have more supply now than we have had in a few years, back to about 2019. Like I said, I think this is a really similar seasonality and buyer demand balance between 2018 and 2019 and what we have now. Because the last few years were not normal. 2022 was our major market correction, and so we had this major change in amount of inventory in a short period of time. But what this still means is that, okay, if nothing new got listed, then it would take about 2 months for everything on the market to sell. That is still really fast. That is still a relatively low amount of supply. And that's a balance between, what this shows is the balance between buyers that are out shopping and sellers that are willing to sell. When I say willing to sell, I mean like, hey, let me put it out on a limb and go list my house for sale, not just I would sell if. There's a millions and millions of sellers in the I would sell if bucket. We'll talk about that towards the end. So, and here's where you can see as far as the active listings. So active listings I equate to going into the grocery store wanting to buy a box of cereal. Here's all the boxes of cereal on the shelf, right? That you can walk it at any given time and see. Doesn't mean that the truck's coming in and people are grabbing things as soon as the truck comes in. That's a spring market. You can see that's when we have all the new listings coming on in the spring, but that opportunity for inventory, those boxes of cereal getting taken off the shelf right as quick as they can get put on. So the active listings, it's just, hey, not as many people are going to the store. The shelves are pretty well stocked, at least compared to how they have been in the last few years. But you can see we still don't have 10 or 11,000 houses listed for sale currently. So we are not back to the available inventory that we had in this time of the year in 2018, 2019. But we also don't have as many buyers. We don't have as many buyers because of the rate situation. We don't have as many sellers because of the golden handcuffs is what we like to call them. So I'm locked into my 2, 3, 4% mortgage. I don't want to let that go. And people are sacrificing all kinds of quality of life and being near family and everything else because of that. That will end at some point. Like, you're always going to have people locked into that. But COVID was a perfect example of, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't care what it costs to go buy a house. I'll pay $50,000 over the list price if it gets me that extra bedroom, because now I'm working from home and I don't want my toddlers crawling in my office all the time, which is why I have the background blurred out, because I have toddlers. So at some point, people balance quality of life with the cost of that life and the affordability in the grand scheme of things for themselves. So that's where we're at as far as the months of supply and available inventory. We're pretty close to the feeling of the market back in 2018 and 2019 as far as the analytics and the statistics. The feeling of the market now is still so uncertain. It feels, everyone's like, well, a recession's coming, and well, the cost of rates are so high and everything else. So it feels there's a lot more angst than there was in that time. But the numbers are showing, hey, about as many deals, there's about as many buyers as there are sellers, and the balance is very similar to that time frame, just with a lot more angst and a lot more anxiety because of everything going on. So what I'm talking about with my sellers right now, I've got 2 listings. Both have been on less than a couple of weeks. And so and that's why I wanted to kind of wait timing wise and see kind of what my market activity and what my experience is with my clients before giving this to y'all. So what I'm talking about with my sellers is showings. This is a representative sample of the showing activity in the Denver metro market. It's not all the showings, because we've got a couple showing services, and this is just one showing service that gives us analytics. However, it's the majority of the showings in the market, so I call it a large representative sample. So I am telling my sellers, hey, average showings for a property to go under contract is about 13. Median is about 9. So I usually tell people 1 in 8 to 1 in 10 showings, depending on the available supply, the months of supply, and the number of active listings out there. When buyers have more things to look at, they're going to go look at more things before they make a decision because they can. So I'm letting them know that, hey, it's going to take about, 9 or 10 showings. 1 in 8 to 1 in 10 showings will probably get us an offer that we can work with. That with the average, obviously that's going to be a little bit higher. The average is always higher just because of market conditions, and it's skewed, for different places that are not presented as well, or different price points or things like that. So in our days on MLS, average right now is 29. That's 4 weeks. That's 4 weeks of active marketing before going under contract. Median is 14. So 2 to 4 weeks is what you can expect given the market situation. Obviously, this is the entire Denver metro market. That will be different for the neighborhood. So I pull those stats for the neighborhood, for the target market area, for anything your target buyer would likely consider purchasing. Because I want to see for that minor segment of the market, does that carry through? Is it reflective, or is it a different situation given that particular part of the market? So that totally depends, but it gives me an expectation of, hey, sellers, here's how long we'll likely be on the market. So here's how long you need to keep the property show ready. Here's how many showings we can expect and in what time period. I have more analytics that I can pull a little bit more granular there based on price point and area. Sorry, my phone. So I also have the showings per listing is only at 5 to 6 showings per listing per month right now. So it might take a month or two, depending on your listing, for us to have enough traffic. So the way that we're driving that traffic and trying to reduce that time on the market, be on the earlier side of that and sell faster, I'll link to up above and down below, is the 4 Ps: your pricing, your presentation, your promotion, and your positioning. How are you positioning compared to the other available options out there? How are you pricing? Considering we know what pricing is going to do. We always know what pricing is going to do based on seasonality, bar some crazy changes in the market condition, recession, rates, whatever, right? I don't have a crystal ball on the rates. If I did, I would be running the Fed, because people running that don't even know what they're going to do. So I don't have a crystal ball on the rates. All I can do is listen to people that are smarter than myself and have more perspective than myself, given economic indicators, 2-10 yield curves, all that kind of stuff. So But I understand seasonality. I understand patterns. I understand buyer demand. And I'm in the market enough to really have perspective on, hey, here's what my other clients are experiencing. Here's what I expect given your type of market, your type of property that we want to sell. So I'm having those conversations with the sellers of, let's see, we've really got to present and position this property as well as possible. So it has got to be immaculately clean. It has got to be staged extremely well, because there are things on the shelf. There are things to go buy. Man, my phone is blowing up. Sorry, guys. There are options out there. We want to be the best option. We know that the pricing is probably going to level off and tank for the next, not tank, but adjust seasonally. Sorry, poor choice of words. But it's going to go down for the next couple of months, and then it will probably pick up in January and February, right? It'll pick up in February for those January shoppers that are picking off the listings that have been around for a while. It happens every year, because people buy according to their life, not according to the real estate cycles. So after they get through the holidays, new year, new me, I've been renting for the last 3 years because I couldn't afford a bidding war. I'm going to go buy a place right now. Well, I love y'all, but you are not a special and unique snowflake. Everybody will, a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people will have that same idea, especially everybody that is on the fence of saying, I would buy if the rates come down to 5 something, 6 something. Cool. So will everybody else. What do you think happens in that kind of market? You get your crazy appreciation. You get your bidding wars. You get all of those things that happened when everybody was stuck in their house for 2020 and realized they don't like their house and they don't like their living situation. And now life happens. Get through the holidays. Okay, I'm willing to go buy and fight other people for this because I want to change my living situation. You have a lot of buyers that have not been able to buy in this 2021, 2022 market situation. Then the rates went up, and then everybody decided to sit and stay put because they didn't know what was going to happen. So I fully expect an aggressive spring market. Will it be 2021, 2022? No, because the buying power is not there, because the rate affordability is not there. However, there's a lot of people that have been putting up with things for the last couple of years, and I think it's going to get a little gnarly again, just like it did in 2023. Even with the rates at 6 and 7%, we still had bidding wars, multiple offers, all that kind of stuff for properties that were presented extremely well, promoted well, positioned well compared to their competitors, and priced aggressively, especially those that are priced aggressively. So that's my forecast for what's coming up. It's worth what you paid for it. I don't charge for YouTube, so it's free. But that's kind of what's going on, that I'm setting the expectation with my sellers. For my buyers, I have this conversation every year. I love Q3 and Q4 for buyers because you have that leverage. You have that negotiation power. You have these active listings. Active listings are sellers that want to sell their house. So as a buyer right now, you also have leverage against your lenders, because there's not a lot of lenders doing deals right now, because there's not a lot of deals to be done. So have your lenders compete with each other. They need to make a living too. And I'll talk about different lending options that are out there right now on the refis and that kind of stuff. But you have leverage. Q3, Q4, you have leverage. Q1, Q2, you lose that leverage because there are other buyers that want the same thing as you, and therefore it is called competition. So now is your opportunity to get something. Does it suck to buy at a 7.5% rate? You bet, especially compared to what we've had for the last decade being at what it was. There are a lot of sellers that are in the I would sell if categories, right? Buyers are I would buy if the rates were more affordable and it didn't cost me an arm and a leg to buy. Well, you know what? It should cost you more to buy a house than it does to rent it. It hasn't for a long time. Crazy things, right? But it should cost you more to own a home than it does to rent it, because there's a lot of incentives for that. And it costs to maintain a home. It costs the people you're renting from to maintain those homes, to pay taxes, to pay insurance. Those costs go up, everything else. So rent will continue to go up. Not just because of taxes, insurance, but for those in apartments. A lot of those commercial buildings and multifamily buildings are on 5-year balloon payment loans. Okay, well, if their loan is coming due from 2018, 2019, 2020, everything else when they bought, and a lot of those are done on continual 5-year balloon payments. So when their cost to borrow money goes up, so does yours when you renew your lease. You've probably been seeing that. I have a couple of clients that, I have one in particular, her rent has gone up over 30% in the last 2 years. And that's a new building that was just built in I want to say 2019, 2018. That's probably why, because their balloon payment came due and they had to refi at a significantly higher rate. Now they have to pass those costs on to their tenants. So not just taxes and insurance costs going up, but commercial loan costs going up because they are borrowing money to pay for the building as well. So buyers, just don't wait to fight with everyone else. You're going to pay it every month. You have the option of paying it up front in bidding against other people and having to cover appraisal gaps or waive inspections and pay for these repairs out of your pocket versus negotiating things with the seller. The big thing is bidding and covering appraisal gaps, because that becomes money out of your pocket up front. When you are buying it now, even if the rate is a little bit higher than it is in 3, 4, 6 months, you finance it into your monthly payment. And we all know as Americans how much we love to finance things. I have personal opinions on that. But if you don't have $50,000 to beat out the guy next to you, where their parents gave them $50K to go put towards a house so they could get into something, but you could pay an extra $30 a month, maybe you should do that if it gets you into the house versus renting for another year and then having your lease go up and being in the same situation a year later. So seriously, if you were in the Denver metro area and you were thinking about buying, but you're not sure what to do and you need some help and you need some guidance and you just want to talk through it and see what makes sense for you, please feel free to reach out to me. I have a link down below. You can schedule a consult directly on my calendar right away, so we're not playing phone tag. Sellers, if you're not sure how to be competitive and you're not sure now if you list now, if you list in the spring, hey, you want to move, but you don't want to lose your 3% mortgage, but you know you're going to have to move for something and you're not sure how to work that out, talk to me. That is how we work out a game plan. We work out the best situation that makes sense for you, given what your risk tolerance is and your motivations are. That's my job. I don't make the decisions for you. I just give you as much information as possible for you to make an educated decision. So, because that is my pet peeve, that is why I do what I do, is I want people to have enough information to make an educated decision. So, sellers, same thing. I got a link down below. You can schedule a consult directly on my calendar so I can get you some information. I got a repeat client that just bought in 2022 and now we're talking about selling it. So we're talking about, okay, how quick do you need the money and how do we want to minimize those losses? Do we wait till January or February where you can probably minimize those losses by $20K? Do you need the money faster than that? It's an investment property. Maybe they do. So we got to balance all those things and see what makes sense. So thanks so much for the time. Hopefully this was helpful. If you're liking my content, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And hit the like button down below if it gave you a little tidbit. So thanks so much and have a great day.